and this is about as serious as I get. You might have heard this before. Me too. This song is called Alice's Restaurant. It's about Alice and the restaurant. But Alice's Restaurant was never the name of the restaurant. That was always just the name of this song. You know, that's why I still call this song Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. But you can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. I was sitting in the back of that trailer they got back there, and I was thinking about it. You know, it was 17 years ago. 17 Thanksgivings ago. 17 years ago on Thanksgiving, when my friend and I decided to go up and visit Alice at the restaurant. But Alice didn't used to live in a restaurant. She used to live in a church nearby the restaurant, in the bell tower, with her husband Ray and Foxy the dog. And living in the bell tower like that, they used to have a lot of room downstairs where the pews used to be. And seeing as how they had all that room, taking out all the pews, they decided that they didn't have to take out their garbage for a long time. We got up there, we found the place was filled with garbage. And we decided that it would be a friendly gesture for us to take the garbage down to the town dump. So we took the half a ton of garbage, put it in the back of a red VW microbus, took shovels and rakes and implements of destruction, and headed on toward the town dump. We got there and there was a sign, a chain across the road saying, closed on Thanksgiving. We had never heard of a dump closed on Thanksgiving before. And so with tears in our eyes, we drove off into the sunset, looking for another place to put the garbage. And we didn't find one until we come to a side road. And off of the side road, there was a 15-foot cliff. And at the bottom of the cliff, there was another pile of garbage. And we decided that one big pile would be better than two little ones. And rather than bring that one up, we decided to throw ours down. That's what we did. Drove back to the church, had a Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, went to sleep and didn't get up until the next morning, when we got a phone call from Officer Obie. He said, "Kid, we found your name on an envelope at the bottom of a half a ton of garbage. Just wanted to know if you had any information about it." And I said, "Yes, sir, Officer Obie, I cannot tell a lie. I put that envelope under that garbage." It was after speaking to Obie for about 45 minutes on the telephone, we finally arrived at the truth of the matter. And Obie said we had to go down, pick up the garbage, and we also had to go down and talk to him at the police officer station. But now, friends, there was only one of two things that Obie could have done at the police officer station. And the first thing was he could have given us a medal for being so brave and honest on the telephone, which wasn't very likely, and we didn't expect it. And the other possibility was that he could have bawled us out and told us never to be seen driving garbage around the vicinity again, which is what we expected. But when we got to the police officer station, there was a third possibility that we hadn't counted on. And we was both immediately arrested, handcuffed. And I said, "Obie, I don't think I can pick up the garbage with these handcuffs on." He said, "Shut up, kid. Get in the back of the patrol car." And we sat in the back of the patrol car and drove to the, quote, scene of the crime, unquote. Friends, I want to tell you about the town of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, where this was happening. They got 3 stop signs, 2 police officers, and 1 police car. But when we got to the scene of the crime, there was 5 police officers and 3 police cars, being the biggest crime of the last 50 years, and it still is. And they was using up all kinds of cop equipment that they had hanging around the police officer station. They was taking plaster tire track footprints, dog-smelling prints, and they took 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. They took pictures of the approach, the getaway, the northwest corner and the southwest corner, and that's not to mention the aerial photography. It was after the ordeal we went back to the jail. Obie said he's going to put us in a cell. He said, "Kid, I'm going to put you in a cell. Give me your wallet and your belt." And I said, "Obie, I can understand you want my wallet, so I don't have any money to spend in a cell. But what do you want my belt for?" And he said, "Kid, we don't want any hangings." And I said, "Obie, did you think I was going to hang myself for littering?" Obie said he was making sure, and friends Obie was, because he took out the toilet seat so I couldn't hit myself over the head and drown. And he took out the toilet paper so I couldn't bend the bars, roll the toilet paper out the window, slide down the road, have an escape, and get away. It was about 4 or 5 hours later that Alice, remember Alice, she come by. And with a few nasty words to Obie on the side, she bailed us out of jail. We went back to the church, had another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, went to sleep, and didn't get up until the next morning when we all had to go to court. We walked in, we sat down. Obie come in with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. And he sat down. A man come in, he said, "All rise!" We stood up. Obie stood up with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures, and the judge come in with a CNI dog. And he sat down. We sat down. Obie looked at the CNI dog. And then at the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows, and looked at the CNI dog. And Obie began to cry, because Obie come to the realization that this was a typical case of American blind justice, and there was no way the judge was going to be looking at the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures. But it didn't matter, because we was fined $25 each, and we had to pick up the garbage in the snow. But that's not what I come to talk about this afternoon. Tonight I thought I'd be talking about this new registration we got going. I think this registration just another word for the draft. You know what I'm saying? You could have made some money off of me, I can tell you that right now, because 17 years ago I would have bet. I mean, I never would have thought that 17 years later I'd still be singing about the draft. Some things change and some don't. You know, they still got that building over in New York City called Whitehall Street. That's where you used to have to walk in, get injected, inspected, detected, infected, neglected, and selected. I remember I had to go in there myself one morning a long time ago for my physical examination. I got good and drunk the night before, because I wanted to look and feel my best when I went in that morning. I mean, I wanted to feel like, I wanted to be like the all-American kid. And when I went in that morning, I was hung down, I was burned down, I was hung up, I was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And I walked in, I sat down. They give me a piece of paper, said, "Kid, see the psychiatrist, room 604. I walked up there, I said, "Shrink, I want to kill. I want to kill. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth, eat dead, burned bodies. I mean, kill, kill, kill." And I started jumping up and down, yelling, "Kill, kill, kill." And he started jumping up and down with me, and we was both jumping up and down, yelling, "Kill, kill," till the sergeant come over, pinned the medal on me, sent me down the hall, said, "You're our boy." I didn't feel too good about it. But I proceeded on down the hall, getting more injections and inspections and all kinds of stuff that they was doing to me. The thing there, and I was there for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. I was there for a long time, going through all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And I finally come to see the very last man. And I walked up, I said, "What do you want to see me about?" He said, "Kid, we only have one more question now. Have you ever been arrested?" I told him the story of the Alice's Restaurant Massacre with full orchestration, 5-part harmony, and all kinds of other phenomena. And he stopped me right there and said, "Kid, did you go to court?" I told him the story of the 27, 8 by 10 colored glossy pictures with the circles, and he stopped me again and said, "Kid, I want you to go over and sit down on that bench that says Group W." Now, kid. I walked over there. Group W. Group W is where they used to put you if you may not have been moral enough to join the army after committing your special crime. And there was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking people on the bench. There was mother rapers and father stabbers and father rapers. There was father rapers sitting there on the bench next to me, and they was mean, nasty, ugly, horrible crime fighting guys. And the meanest, nastiest, ugliest one, the meanest father raper of them all, was coming over to me, and he sat down next to me and said, "Kid, what'd you get?" I said, "I didn't get nothing. I had to pay $25 and pick up the garbage." He said, "Kid, what was you arrested for?" And I said, "Littering." And they all moved away from me on the bench there until I said, "And creating a nuisance." And then they all come back and shook my hand. And we had a great time on the bench, talking about crime, mother stabbing, father raping. We was smoking all kinds of stuff, having a good time on the bench, till a sergeant come over, had some paper in his hand. He held it up. He went like this. He said, "Now, kids, this piece from stop 37, 127, well, not time to crime details of crime, and he got to think the same time tune about the crime, want to know the arrest officer's name, and then the kind of thing you got to say." And he talked for 45 minutes, but nobody understood a word that he said. We had fun playing with the pencils on the bench there, and I filled out the massacre like I was supposed to. I put down my pencil, I turned over the piece of paper. And there on the other side of that piece of paper, in the middle of the other side, away from everything else on the other side, read the following words. "Kid, have you rehabilitated yourself?" I went over to the sergeant. I said, "Sergeant, you got a lot of damn gall to ask me if I've rehabilitated myself. I'm sitting here on the Group W bench because you want to know if I'm moral enough to join the army, burn women, kids, houses, children, villages after being a litter bug." He said, "Kid, we don't like your kind. We're going to send your fingerprints off to Washington. And friends, somewhere in Washington, enshrined in a little folder is a study in black and white of my fingerprints. And the only reason I'm singing you this song this afternoon is because you may know somebody in a similar situation. As a matter of fact, I bet there's some of you right here today that's in a situation like this, and you may not know what to do. Here's a suggestion. You walk into a post office, buy some stamps. Don't look like you're gonna cause any trouble. Just buy your stamps real slow. Wait for a little line to build up behind you in the post office. And when you get some folks in a line behind you in the post office, you jump up on one of them little tables with the pins on them. And when everybody's looking at you, and you're standing up on that little table with the pens on them, you just give it about a minute or two. And when everybody's wondering, what's he doing? You go like this, you say, you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Jump off the table and run out the door. Come back in about 5-10 minutes later, tell them you're gonna register now. Now imagine you working at the post office and some jerk comes in there buying slow stamps. He's holding up the line. He jumps up on the table with the pens on him. He starts singing some dumb, stupid song. He jumps off the table, he runs out the door, he comes back in, gonna register. You gonna register that man? Imagine two of them buying double slow stamps. Jumping up on the table, hand in hand, singing some dumb song in harmony. Run that door, come back in. Imagine three. Imagine your normal, average American human being working in the post office, but every day 50 people come in there buying slow stamps, jumping up on the table, singing that song, run that door, come back in. You think you're gonna sleep at night, but you ain't. Because about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when you ought to be sleeping, you're gonna sit up straight in your bed, you're gonna bounce up and down, jump up on top of the dresser and start going, you can't get anything. And your wife or your husband or somebody gonna be looking at you saying, honey, what you doing up there? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. And you ain't gonna know. Pretty soon nobody in the post office be sleeping anymore. Which reminds me of something that doesn't have anything to do with this song. But this song is a long song, so I thought I'd take a break right here. It's just a nice afternoon here. That's right. I know, it just reminded me about nobody in the post office sleeping, reminded me about sometimes how we worry about our leaders, especially when the president's sleeping, you know what I'm saying? Even when, remember the first thing that happened after the election, the Libyan planes was flying over, we were shooting them down, and nobody wanted to wake up the president? People in America got worried, not to mention the rest of the world, but not me. I thought it was great. And I think history has proved me right, that the more he sleeps, the safer we're gonna be. Hey, but in all fairness to him, he is not the only one. There's lots of presidents and presidentresses all around this world that ought to be sleeping more. And you know, the thought has occurred to me that if we could get them to all be sleeping together, then they could be doing to each other what they've been doing to us. I know it's wrong, but I see it in my mind. Which reminds me of something else that has nothing to do with that, but thinking about presidents, you know, when Carter got elected, I went down to Washington for the inauguration. I got an invite, and I figured I'd have to go because it would be the only invite I ever got. And so I went down, there was a big party going on in Washington, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around, it's true. It was Chip Carter, the president's son. And I recognized him from TV and, you know, newspapers and stuff. And I turned around and said, oh, hi, Chip. Sir, son. And he looked at me and said, Arlo, I just want to tell you one thing. We were moving our stuff into the White House, and in the Nixon record library, we found a copy of your record, Alice's Restaurant. I froze in time. I looked at Chip Carter with laser eyes beamed into his soul. I said, Chip, was it open? And in slow motion, he nodded that it was open. And friends, I want you to know that I didn't think about that for 10 years. That was 72 or something like that. It wasn't until 2 years ago I was out in the Midwest. I was sleeping in a hotel. I was watching TV. There was nothing going on. You know, we was working somewhere. And on the TV come the 10th anniversary Nixon reunion. Remember that? Maybe not. But 2 years ago, they let some folks out and they had a big party in Washington. And so they came down there and they was partying. And I saw the face of Rosemary Woods. I don't know if you remember her. That was Nixon's secretary. She was the one that erased the tapes. She erased about an 18-minute gap in the tape. And when I saw her face, I jumped up and down on my bed and jumped up on top of the dresser and went, "Oh, Lord, oh, Lord." How many things in the world are 18 minutes and 20 seconds long? How many things are exactly 80 minutes and 20 seconds long? Imagine nobody's sleeping in the post office anymore. Pretty soon their bosses be having the same problem. And their boss's boss, and the boss's boss's boss. And I could see about 3 or 4 months, maybe weeks from now, they'll be having a big meeting in the Oval Office. And in the middle of that conversation, I could see one of them jumping up on the table. It'll be a real important meeting and they'll all be sleeping. And in the middle of that conversation, one jumps up on the table and starts singing that song. And maybe Ronald Reagan will wake up. Maybe not. But if he did, I guess I'm always going to wonder if he'd have been the only president to have heard that song there. I guess it don't matter much now. But it would have been nice to know because you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. I know I've been singing this song a long time this afternoon, but there was years I didn't sing this song at all. As a matter of fact, I forgot this song. I never thought I'd sing it again. And it was over 10 years. Even when Ronald Reagan got elected, I didn't think I was going to sing this song because he wasn't for no registration and no draft. And I remember the day he changed his mind after the election. And I said to myself, oh God, no. Don't make me learn that song again. But I did. And I learned other stuff over the years. I learned if you want people to hear you, you got to learn to sing loud. And if you want people to understand you, you got to learn to sing even louder than that. And do you know there's probably people within earshot of us this afternoon that's in desperate need of understanding. So we'll wait for it to come around on the guitar. Help me provide some understanding. Help me out. You can get anything you want at Alice's, except at Alice. You can get anything you want at Alice's. I said walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad. And you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Da 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 da. At Alice's